Hi, I'm Dr. God King. Today I'm going to talk about the theme of Salone Mathemagics. Salone Mathemagics is a revolutionary approach to doing mathematics, especially multiplication. Our ideal solution or our ultimate goal is to do math and, in particular, multiplication just like a magician would. A mathematician who is doing multiplication would produce answers rapidly to any multiplication problem that is given. So that is our goal, but it is the ideal. Today we are going to focus on what I call hip-hop multiplication. But just as a recap, in the past we have talked about three of my inventions. The first one is times table addition, which is a novel way of reproducing the times table. Instead of memorizing the whole times table, you derive it from times table 1 to times table 10. So you use a 10 by 10 grid to derive all the times table. The other approach, as I mentioned, which is our focus today, is called hip-hop multiplication. And hip-hop multiplication is traditionally what is referred to as short multiplication. That is, you multiply numbers by a single digit. But I have invented a new process which makes that process very, very easy and to an extent magical. So hip-hop multiplication is the second technique that I have invented, which forms part of the Salone Mathemagics. The other process is zig-zag multiplication, which we shall talk about in the next video, and it involves multiplication using 2 or more digits. For now, our focus is on hip-hop multiplication. The basis of comparison of hip-hop multiplication is what I would call Singapore multiplication. Singapore is the top country with regard to math, especially in schools, and lots of other countries and schools are using their system, so that would be our reference. And in my opinion, and also backed by facts as well as the reactions from people, Salone multiplication is considered simpler, faster, and funner than Singapore multiplication. But what is Singapore multiplication? Let us see what Singapore multiplication is and how it differs from hip-hop multiplication. I shall give an overview of Singapore multiplication and contrast it with hip-hop multiplication. The first thing is Singapore multiplication deals with a finite table. Hip-hop multiplication, on the other hand, deals with an infinite times table, which is initially presented as a 10 by 10 times table, but it goes up to infinity. You don't need a new times table. All times table are in that 10 by 10 table. The other thing is Singapore multiplication was developed for formal teaching. The hip-hop multiplication was designed for magical entertainment, such as you would in a show as America's Got Talent, where someone can call any two numbers or any number to be multiplied by a single digit, and the contestant can immediately give the answer in a magical manner. So that's those are two differences. The third difference is because Singapore multiplication was designed for teaching, the process of arriving at a result is visible. And in hip-hop multiplication, the process ideally is invisible, so you give the product and someone can immediately give you the answer. But when you are practicing, you are using a visible process, and you use the 10 by 10 times table like you would use a training wheel of a bicycle. When you have mastered the process, you can do away with the training wheel and the process appears magical. The fifth point is just a summary or an overview of the Singapore multiplication process, and that is, it is complex, it is slow, and it is not scalable. In contrast, the hip-hop multiplication is simpler, faster, and funner, and also highly scalable. So these are the main differences between the Singapore multiplication and the hip-hop multiplication. Now let's see how the Singapore multiplication looks. So if you are doing the Singapore multiplication, it deals with ones and tens. In our own days, we used to refer to this as units and tens, but nowadays, and in the American system, they use ones and tens. So that's the language I shall be using. If you are multiplying 11 by 10 in the Singapore system, you do your multiplication from left to right. So 3 times 110 would give you 30. 3 times 1 gives you 3. And then you add both and you have your result as 33. So this is the process in the Singapore multiplication system. In the hip-hop multiplication system, you write your multiplication horizontally and you put an equal sign, and you can do this on the same line, or you can come down and you multiply each digit by your multiplier. So 3 by 1 gives you 3, 3 by 1 gives you 3. You put each intermediate result in a bracket, and then you just write the result out. And you can see that the Singapore multiplication method has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and this one has a maximum of 1, 2, 3 lines, and you can even put your result in a single line. Let us consider another example of multiplication. So in this case, we have 12 times 3, and you would follow 3 times 10 is 30, 3 times 2 is 6, and then you add both and you have 36. If you are doing the hip-hop multiplication method, you have 3 times 1, 3, and you put that in bracket. 3 times 2, 6, you put that in bracket, and then you have your final result of 36. And as before, you can note that you could have said 36 just by looking at these numbers and doing what I call pattern calculating or sight calculating. You can just look at the multiplication layout and give the result. So let us look at a slightly different example, which is 12 times 5. In the Singapore method, you would set it up as 12 times 5, and 5 times 10, 50, 5 times 2 is 10, and then you add both and you have 60. But there is a little difference in the hip-hop multiplication method. 1 times 5, you put 5 and you put it in bracket. 5 times 2, you have 10 and you put that in bracket. Note that you have 1 digit here and you have 2 digits here. So this is called a 1-2 hip-hop multiplication. So you take the 5 number and add it to the first digit of the intermediate result on the right hand side. So 5 and 1 give you 6. So you put the 6 here, and then you hop, and then you have 0. So you heap and you hop, you heap and you hop to a number of any length. So that's what you would do, and this is a symbol just to remind you of the process that you carry out, which is just like an S. You heap and then you hop. So that is all there is to the hip-hop multiplication. We can look at another example of 67 times 4. 4 times 6 gives you 24, and you put that in bracket. 4 times 7 gives you 28, you put that in bracket. You heap. 24 plus 2 gives you 26, and then you hop, and then you have it. So that's 268. For 67 times 9, 9 times 6 is 54, you put that in bracket. 9 times 7 is 63. You also put that in brackets. You heap 54 plus 6 gives you 60, and then you write 3. So you can even do this mentally without writing anything down, as that is what the Hiphop multiplication method is designed to do. You can do 99 times 9, and you can say 9 times 9 is 81, 9 times 9 is 81. So you heap 81 plus 8, that's 89, and then you hop, you have 9. So 891 is the result of 99 times 9. The Hiphop multiplication has got many levels, and the first level you are supposed to master from 1 to 99 times table. At level 2, you should master from 100 to 199. For level 3, you are supposed to master from 200 to 299. So you can decide the levels to which you want to go, but initially we shall just focus on level 1, which means from learning from tables 1 to 99. The beauty of the Hiphop multiplication method is that you do not have to use additional tables. All you need is your 10 by 10 grid, which looks like 10 times table. So I regard the 10 by 10 table as a training wheel, and we shall briefly go through it for doing or practicing Hiphop multiplication. So if you are thinking of your 11 times table, you can take this as your 11. For each digit, you just need to repeat that. 1 times 11 is 11, 2 times 11, 22, 3 times 11, 33, and so on. So you can go up to 99, but although in Hiphop multiplication you are multiplying by a single digit, I will just take this opportunity to explain what this means in Hiphop multiplication. So this is a 2 by 2. So if you are to do 11 times 10, then it's 10 plus 1, 11, and 0. So it's 110. If you are to do the 12 times table, the 12 times table is already here. 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 12 is 24, up to 48. And when you come to this, it's a 1-2 combination, just as we discussed. It's a 1-2 Hiphop multiplication. So 5 times 12, 5 and 1, that's 6, and you add a 0, that's 60. This would be 72, this would be 84, this would be 96, and this would be 108. If you are thinking of 15 times, 1 times 15 would be 15, that's 15. 2 times 15, you have a 2 and a 10, so 2 plus 1, that's 3, so that would be 30. 3 times 15 would give you 3, and 1, that's 4, 45. So this is how you would go through all of the multiplications, even when you are dealing with very complex numbers like 4 times 78, that would give you 312, meaning 28 plus 3, that's 31, and 2. So you can do that for all the numbers. You can even go to 3 digits. 1, 2, 3 times 4, it's explained here. Please note that when you are dealing with bigger digits, you have to add 0, as in this case. So 4 times 1, you would write 0, 4. 4 times 2, you would write 0, 8. And 4 times 3, you would write 1, 2. And then you heap 4 plus 0, that's 4. And then you hop 8 plus 1, that's 9, and 2. So your result is 492. 6, 7, 8 times 5, you have 6 times 5 is 30, 7 times 5 is 35, and 5 times 8 is 40. So you heap 30 plus 3 is 33, and then 5 and 4, that's 9, and then you hop 90.